Welcome to episode 5 of the Crimeycade. I'm the mad conservative crime fighter, Stephen Lucas, back here again. Welcome everybody to the stream, and people will be filing in as we go along. And we're awaiting our guests to settle in. So have a few comments to make in a monologue before we get to the crust of the interview. Sure, subscribe to the Crimeycade, basically my channel on Twitch, rap_sheet. The replays of this podcast will be posted at tiny.cc/pwci. All right, lead off tonight. There's been a lot of odds and ends with the gaming scene I've had a few thoughts on, and it runs the gamut. There are a lot of talking heads out there covering the various gaming news events and scandals. I've been listening to some of them as they are more interesting than when I'm getting a cable TV, which I got rid of recently, and I haven't missed it yet. I also have to give the usual disclaimer, which I have not been doing. Views expressed are solely my own, do not necessarily reflect the views of my guests and associates. So here's some of the items getting attention lately. Sweet Baby looks to have been thrown out with the bathwater as curators on Steam are documenting every game they have been involved in, even beyond the games they list on their webpage. One of its employees, named Chris Kendrick, tried to organize a posse to repeatedly report the list and the creator of the list and hoped to get it banned. And why was he so desperate to get it banned? Because consumers are using that list and avoiding purchase of those games they were involved in. Surprised he didn't try to get the article on Wikipedia, which also lists all the games and the upcoming ones, deleted. Instead, Kindred, the unhinged and deranged gaslighting lunatic, who never really left his parents' basement, got suspended from Twitter instead. Something that wouldn't have happened had Elon Musk not bought the media platform a year ago. And boy, it is way, way, way overdue one of these left-wing bullies got punished for his misconduct. That right there is why society as a whole has suffered so badly with the political hacks running these social media sites, letting these loons spread their digital fentanyl without consequences. Stripping these crazies of their power centers is how the tide gets turned back to reality. Unfortunately, this sorry individual has not learned his lessons. As he screams bloody murder, people are fighting to restore true normalcy, rejecting the crazy and the chaos people like Kendrick desperately want. In other words, this miserable person wants to spread his misery to everyone in order to make himself feel better somehow, instead of looking in the mirror and realize he is the reason why he is so miserable. For game creators out there, keep this divisive, polarizing political issues out of my video games. Studios should avoid Sweet Baby unless they want to meet the same fate as Volition, the maker of the Saint Row series, who hired the organization and produced a game that had very mixed reviews and underwhelming sales. Anyway, for a more extensive discussion on this topic, I recommend watching the most recent edition of the Side Scrollers podcast dated March the 4th, as there's a lot more involved than what's on the surface, and the show itself went 4.5 hours. But it's worth it. Are we witnessing another video game crash like the last one in 1984? They claim, there was like 10,000 layoffs. Sweet Baby employees soon to join them on the unemployment line. But, if that is the only piece of evidence pointing to such a thing, I say no. But things are changing quite a bit in the 2020s. I previously pointed out game producers are trying to go completely digital and do away with physical media. And stores are also trying to get rid of physical media in favor of all digital. So that means we won't be seeing millions of video game CDs and game cards going into a landfill anytime soon. The economy as a whole has been going through a third Great Depression, no thanks to current leadership in public office and a large contingent of people still terrified of catching COVID and dropping dead in 2 weeks. holed up in the basements of their houses, unable to step outside without wearing a face diaper. At the same time, these people who confined themselves had to pass the time somehow, and they either watched Netflix all day or played video games. Yeah, I would have played more video games myself, but I spent a lot of time making videos protesting the government for locking down the country which didn't even slow the spread of the virus down. And it took them years to admit they were full of crap as they gaslighted, censored, and trashed anyone calling them out for it. And yes, in a couple of weeks, we'll be up to the 4-year anniversary of the biggest power grab ever by politicians and the biggest exploitation of public health for profit by greedy pharmaceutical companies in world history, and I will have something to say about it. Anyway, many people went back to work full time. Not so much time at home doing nothing, so people weren't buying as many games as they did in 2020. So what's with the layoffs? Well, because of sales growth, people were opening more AAA studios to make games. Not everyone were as skilled as the well-established companies, programmers, but for a time, producers were in bidding wars over creators. But not all creators were good at what they did. And those folks were the ones losing their jobs first. But if they still want to create games, you can go independent and make games on their own and distribute the games as shareware. Now, if they're good games, people will buy the full versions. I recall back in the 1990s, shareware was a big deal back then. Shareware was where the birth of the first-person shooter genre happened. Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake started as shareware. And many indie developers are releasing their games on the Steam platform. The creators who prove themselves will get offers, or they will build a successful company. Either way, good games will sell. Bad games will not sell. Also, companies need to scale back on their budgets on the games they create, because even a good game that sells can still lose money if they overspend creating the game. And if you don't make your money back or make a profit on the game, no matter how popular it is, you won't be able to do another big budget game anytime soon. See Spider-Man 2, which, ironically, Sweet Baby Inc. had its claws in. Game makers do not need to blow hundreds of millions of dollars creating a title. You're just setting yourself up for failure. And that's my rant for tonight. All right. Our guest for this evening is the former hostess of the Bally Wars tournament and a digital media artist. You can see quite a bit of her work at www.skohnart.com. She is the one and only Samantha Kohn. Welcome to the Crimeycade.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, awesome. I didn't get a chance to check the microphone because I'm using AirPods and I normally don't use AirPods or anything like that. I'm pretty old school.
So let's start with your digital artistry. Describe your art that you create.
A lot of it, well, I like to do mixed media in general. So some of them actually started out as sculptures and actually photographs of the sculptures that I took, like just as an experiment, because I went to college for fine arts. I actually have a degree in fine arts and art history because I'm a huge nerd. I just think it's extremely important.
Aren't we
to
all?
learn about history. Yes, that's why I love this community so much. But I got into it and I discovered the type of style that I like to use, which is mixed media, because I like to do different types of layers and I like to combine traditional techniques with the hands because I am extremely inspired by the arts and crafts movement from the 1920s on, and then you have the like Art Deco after that. But I really love William Mortison's work when he was like kind of like the founding father of the arts and crafts movement back in the day, and it was because it was during the time of the Industrial Revolution, a little bit like afterwards, but because the Industrial Revolution was 1800s, it was afterwards, like when it was kind of settled and like people had time to live in a society that is completely basically it's basically ran by machines and had time to adjust. And then so you have like late 1800s, early 1900s, because it's like 1900s to the 1920s is where you see the kind of the influence of nature and how it goes back to our roots basically, and how it's very important to continue the craftsmanship, and then all these beautiful techniques that they do for like wood carving and then furniture making, and not just that, but just manual labor in general, like just the human touch to an object and taking the time out to actually basically create a piece is what I would call any sort of like beautiful furniture, or that even goes for architecture and stuff like that. But it's just taking the time to actually engineer something that's not only artful and aesthetically pleasing, but useful and functional, and also references tranquility, basically. So I like to go hiking and stuff like that, so I take photos as well from nature, and I just dissect the photograph essentially when I put it into Photoshop. That's when I bring it into the modern age, is using modern technology basically to add to it or take away, and just kind of mix a bunch of things. Because when I do my sculpture work, is usually because I'm trying to sculpt the human form, because I just think the human form is very interesting, and I love how organic it is, obviously, as well. And like I've done like some projects that I haven't published using animal remains, like a deer. Usually, when you go hiking, you find just like the remains. Obviously, that I clean them properly.
Basically, the skeletons,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Not any flesh.
No, not any flesh. But sorry, that was like a long explanation and roundabout way of trying to explain a little bit of. Well, that's just one person that influenced me, but I have a lot of different influences, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint and hard to answer that question because it's just a loaded question, because a lot of things influence me, honestly, in my lifetime, because I act a lot older than I am, or I can come off as a lot more mature or old school, I guess, because that's what I prefer, honestly. I don't really understand. Well, I understand all the modern trends that are going on right now and being engaged with technology, but I like to remove myself from that and be present in the moments for not only my mental health, but also for just the overall experience of just being alive.
My family, well, my mom was into the crafting scene years ago.
Yes, you told me.
Glassware. She made different things like bead lamps. There's like, some sort of glass shop, art glass shop close to where I live.
Like
I've been in
blowing?
there. Not necessarily glass blowing. It's basically trying to, I guess, solder pieces of glass together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and make a lamp or a lampshade or a lamp fixture.
How would you make a lamp like the Tiffany lamps?
Kind of the things that you would see at maybe a pool hall. Those hanging glass, like has beer advertising, but there's like they made a lamp with several pieces of glass, kind of like handmade. I mean, I could dial something up on a screen, but yeah. So this is for the first time. I've rigged. Gosh, I had to hook up another monitor. I had to find a monitor because find a monitor that would fit this stand because I had the 23-inch monitor and then another 22-inch monitor, and they did not fit on here right. So, light, lamp, light, fixture, light fixtures. Let's see if I can find something. Well, this is not a great example, but you can kind of get the. Can I get it up here? Here we go. At the stage. Something kind of like this.
That's what I was envisioning when you were talking about it. That's exactly what I was thinking about. So yeah, this more for pubs, kind of like a pub lantern, or like you said, a light fixture. Yeah.
There's some of these others up here.
Those are pretty cool. I like those.
That one's blown glass.
Yes.
But
it's still like the glass has to be heated to a specific temperature in order for it to like adhere to another piece of glass. So I think it's just, I've also wanted to get into more glass making and stuff like that. Like specifically stained glass windows. I've always loved and adored stained glass windows and the artistry behind that, and not only the artistry but the history behind it. I know it has a lot of spiritual aspects to it, obviously, like religious aspects to it, but I think that it's really cool.
She did, she did one of those stained glass windows as well. This is kind of, this is closer to what I had in mind, but it's advertising. This one looks closer. This one looks closer to what I had in mind.
That's a cool one. I've seen like that type of style is at the, I don't know if you've ever been to the lounge in downtown Chicago. It's one of my favorite lounges to go to because it has the fireplaces. It's the Athletics Association.
There's not a lot of places I dare to travel into the Chicago area for simple safety reasons, since it's pretty dangerous there lately. Brookfield is pretty much as far into the sea as I go, unless there's now. I may go to see C2E2 is happening end of April, which I have to go all the way to the end of I-55. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably going there. If Galloping Ghost does that tournament, they still have not announced that they're going back to C2E2 yet. I don't know. I don't know what's up. I hope we have that C2E2 tournament because that is the only Galloping Ghost belt I have not won yet. And I've pledged in previous interviews with you that you conducted with me that my goal for this year was to complete the 6-pack and match James White for the number of belts. But if C2E2, that tournament don't happen this year, then I guess that's it. All I have is Blade Wars to win. But we'll get to that in a minute. I want to take a look at some of your artwork.
Okay.
So this is mixed media, and well, you talked about finding deer, and here's one of these. Oh,
I have that one here with me. It's right here. Well, I don't know where Steven went, but I'm still here.
I just want to get your get that thing, maximize the view.
Got it.
Whew. So, what tools did you use to create that?
I took a lot of different types of photos and photos of the just the human body and human form, and I took photos of. I really like trees, honestly. The movement in the shapes of them. That's what I look at when I'm hiking, because when you're engulfed in that type of setting, I just feel like they're like swallowing you. And then also when I'm walking by, I kind of let my imagination go wild and pretend that it's a silent film because of how expressive I feel that the trees are. Because obviously trees move towards light, and anytime a living organism moves towards the light, and then I just think they're really animated, and it's very interesting the types of shapes you get just looking at them, and the types of. Thank you, Crackjacker 2000. I don't know who that is.
Crackjacker, and I believe that's Jose.
That's Jose.
And that's Jose.
C2E2. Oh, cool. What does your cousin do?
Jose? Well, I'll wait for him to respond.
Yes.
Also in the chat, our gorilla, Damian Cardova, who we interviewed last week. Hey.
How are you? It's wonderful to see you.
And going back further, he said,
Why
hey, Green Bay.
Into this?
Well, we had that, that just happened. Well, I showed that lamp, that glass sculpture happened to be a Green Bay lamp a minute ago. Yes. But
we can ignore the fact that it's sports related. We're not talking about sports. It was about the craft.
Well, of course not. Well, yeah. The sports is over, but let's see some of the others you have. Metamorphosis. That was, I think that was one you just showed us.
Yes, I have that physically here with me. Because it was part of the show that I did back in 2021, and that the gallery actually bought 12 small pieces, like 12 by 12 pieces. So, and it's an installation there, and you guys can go visit it if you ever wanted to. If you were ever in, I believe, where was it? Lake County, Illinois. It's very far up north.
Going up to the northern.
Experience.
And correct, Jose answered.
And she
cousin's out of state.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question, Jose.
Say again?
I asked what his cousin does, or like what they're into.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll wait for his answer.
Yes.
Look at some of these others.
Yeah.
Decompose or decay.
Yeah.
What are we looking at exactly?
I didn't post it onto my. Well, I think I did. I posted a little bit of it on my website, but a lot of these, what I have printed out on acrylic. This is just a painting that I'm still working on, but I have some of these images that you're going through right now. They're printed on acrylic, and then they can be like mounted on the wall with metal rods and stuff like that. But there's a video that would accompany each of these photographs, and it's actually part of the still of an animation that I did.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I just happened to really enjoy this layer, and made it like just exported it and made it its own because of the feeling I got when I looked at it. Because I'm a fan of horror films and just old things in general, and I'm very interested in science as well, and it just reminded me of biology class when they would give us a sample of something and we looked under the microscope. Some like the parts where it's not the big chunk of where I feel like you could see like a mummy or a skull. It's more like towards where I know that there's a tree on while I'm looking at it is my right side where it's like more colorful and light. I feel like it kind of looks like one of those samples. Not the petri dish, but it's like a cell sample is what I just get that feeling from it every time I looked at just that section, like the half of the photograph. So that's why I named it what I named it. It was Decompose or Decay, because it kind of just reminded me of biology and a mixture of like the mummification process, but also looking under the microscope.
Yeah. Some of these others. Here's Rosemary. Yeah. This is Whispers. It looks like water. You took a picture of a lake, I think, or a body of water, or at least that's what it looks like. And there's some fingers. I think sticking out of the water.
It's actually just this part of my face, of my lips and my hand, and then like maybe my shoulder, but it's just highly edited. And it's just the bottom of my face.
Triplicity looks like a person right here.
Yeah.
I just used
to be really into the punk scene in Chicago, and That's actually the drummer or former drummer of the band called Death of Self. That they're no longer together anymore, but they were a really good band in my opinion. And then also what's accompanying that photograph of just him dissected and just like really ripped apart is it was actually a print of a sculpture that I had done in paper, like a photograph of so I made a sculpture out of paper, like just like brown paper, and I hung it up with a bunch of tape and then a bunch of other stuff. Took a photo of it, and then I edited that photo in Photoshop, printed it out, and then slapped a bunch of white paint on it, scratched off the white paint, and created forms in the paint. Then took a photo of that, and then put it into Photoshop, and then layered this on top of it.
See.
The same with this one. There's
Bob Marley. Yes.
Yeah, that's the girl's name that's present in the photograph. Her name is Marley.
And
Mariposa. I'm Mexican,
by the way,
Polish, and Russian, so.
The reason why the words are kind of split, I'm using a 15-inch monitor. That was to fit this thing on this table with this bigger monitor. Here's a rooster.
Yes. I just was having fun with that. I think it's so cute. The rooster. I just love animals too.
Obscure red reflection. Oh no, obscured reflection. I'm misreading it because of split up lines over here.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Pieces of myself.
That's my dear friend. Well, their dead name is James, but their new name, they go by they them. Their new name is not Mia, Maya. Maya, and they're still close to my heart. I love them. I haven't seen them in a while since I was in school with them, but I always have a place for them in my heart, and we spend a lot of time together, like almost every single day together, and getting into some mischief and then inspiring each other. And they inspired this photo because we were hanging out in downtown on the lakefront, and it just the lighting. You know how when the lighting is just right, you just take photos of someone and then it turns into this. And this actually has a physical video or a dynamic video that accompanies this.
Melting in the reflection of the nightclub.
Well, this was a kind of a BS project, this one specifically. Someone had, in one of my classes, apparently was watching me sketch and stuff like that. And it was a little weird, but I wasn't really inspired by any of the music that he was playing. But I had to kind of still fulfill the contract. So this is what I thought of. I took just photos of the place he was DJing at, like, because I was the only person there, but they still had lights and stuff like that. So I took photos of just the empty room and then inserted some ink drawings that I had done while he was watching me draw them. So I thought that would be more fitting. You know what I mean?
Yes. How difficult is it to create these graphics? I have a decent knowledge of using paint.net and creating posters and promotional graphics, but this is pretty extensive. It's not that easy, is it?
Well, it depends on your patience, because I lose track of time when I'm really into a project. Like, even though this one specifically was a throwaway project, that doesn't mean I was not as enthusiastic when working on it. It just meant I had just I didn't have to have any topic idea. It just going based off of my experience that was while watching his set, because he was a DJ, and I went supporting, and then I just thought that these would just couple what his sound was. And it was I was studying women figures at the time, and then also I do a lot of reading on the different photographers that I'm into, and then what inspires them. A lot of philosophy, a lot of politics for way back when, and history specifically, a lot of poetry as well. So this wasn't very hard for me to make, because I read a lot of psychology, and I remembered that this was a psychology class that I decided to just draw with that ink pen. It was like not a ink pen. It was like I literally had a pod of ink and then a brush, and I was just practicing with that, and it was influenced a little bit by Japanese prints and how precise they were. But I was just like this was a practice for me to just really commit to a line and just go with it and just see if a figure appears. But I remember it was that, and then during that time I was reading a lot of Freud, so like Sigmund Freud, so a lot of like this like sexual innuendos and just like a subconscious and dreams were really present, I guess, during this time of when I was sketching and practicing drawing and stuff like that. It was not like sexually arousing, and like to be inspired like that, but it was like the act of it, like from for the Freudian sense, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense.
I
Like,
had to
just thinking
study
about his theories,
psychology.
you know what I mean? You know, just like just thinking of like reading his theories and reading his like the case studies, and then putting that into thought, or just like really cycling through that to really understand the theories and what he came up with. And I still am I really enjoy Freud. I know a lot of modern psychologists especially dismiss, and apparently a lot of his work has been disproven, but I feel that there's a lot of truth behind it. And also I had just seen his it was a film on Freud, and it was shot in 33 millimeter film. I had also just seen, like, went to a showing of that. I can't remember what it's called right now. If I remember, because I wrote like a whole thing about it too, but I really enjoyed that film because it was kind of mixed with surrealist ideas, and I'm a big fan of surrealist artists, especially artists like Salvador Dali and Francis Bacon. And Salvador Dali actually got to meet Sigmund Freud, so like a lot of it ties together, and like how he does a lot of profanity or like absurdities or obscenities in his artwork is very interesting to me. Not that that's what my like the focus of my artwork is. I just enjoy, especially when I depict female bodies and studies and stuff like that. Like this study has a naked female figure. It's a study of a photograph that I really like, and I just like the female body, but I don't have any like my own like sexual agenda on it. It's just a study, this one specifically. You know what I mean? I just enjoy, like, it's a study that I was doing at the time, and that's why I depicted that. But like there was a lot of other things going on, like because Freud would talk about like what we call now like the modern BDSM, like stuff like that, and that's kind of like a mix of what the history is and then how it was talked about during the time. Like I was doing readings with other people and what they took from it, basically, like the modern influence and what they took from it. It's like a mixture of both, but it's not my own opinion. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I have no idea. It is beyond my. It is out of my. It is kind of out of my wheelhouse. But I will still. If there's an art show, art fair, yeah, I will. I would go out and look at it. I mean, if out in public. I do have a question in the chat. Have you ever taught or studied at Marwin?
No, I have not. I've never taught or studied at Marwin. I've never taught, I've never taught anyone anywhere, anything, anyone, anywhere, anything. Other than when I sometimes take my easel out and when I'm going on a hike somewhere. There was one time, and it was only one time in the summer because I hadn't gotten a chance to like make my way back out to the place where I decided to just take out all my stuff and paint outside on the trail. And an older woman with her 2 grandchildren like stopped and like were just watching me do it, and then I invited them to paint with me because I had some extra boards and stuff like that, and I let them do whatever they wanted to do. Like I got extra boards, extra paint, extra paintbrushes and stuff like that. So I just kind of let them do whatever they wanted to do and gave them just like a little bit of colors and stuff like that. Because I learned that if you give them all the colors, they're gonna use a lot of black right away, and they don't understand like to wait for something to dry. So it just looks like mud at the end of it. But like I like to let the kids like because I just think it's really endearing when they come up to you and then they're just watching you do something. And it was really interesting because the photo that I was painting on the canvas, because I was using a photo reference, even though I was outside, it was a naked woman. So it was very interesting that this grandmother just like she was fine with it, because sometimes like nudity bothers a lot of people, but she was fine with it. And I don't think the girls even understood what the painting was. They just were looking at more of the colors, and they're like, oh, she's cool, like the look basically. So I just wanted to encourage them, and I just let them kind of go wild with all my art supplies basically. But it was very fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope to make my way out there again this summer, and hopefully I run into them again.
So, if I were the subject matter, and there's some self-portraits, be sure to go to her website because there's a ton of art in there to look at. It'll take all night, probably take all evening to go through each one. But my next question is, if I were the subject matter of one of the portraits you create, how would you go about it, and what would be the end result?
I thought long and hard about this question, honestly. And it's just a mixture of your energy, and I would honestly ask for some music references if you had any, or some book references to just try to peek inside your mind a little bit. But I probably would start with like doing like a photography session or something like that, and then kind of like what I do with a lot of the other portraits that I do is dissecting it. But the thing is, when I do a photo shoot with somebody, I like it to be natural. I don't like anything staged. I don't want you to know that I'm taking the photo. I want the raw, like organic motions to get the type of energy that you're putting off, whether it be honest or not, or like no, so not. I'd rather have the authentic person be shown than you show me something that's phony, because then I'm going to depict the action of shedding that mask, because I've done that to some of my friends, but they gave me permission to do so. I made sure to ask, especially when my friend James transitioned. They allowed me to use their dead name for the series that I previously named, because that's how I met them. I met them as such, but I accept them regardless, because they're the same person. They didn't change. So they're the same person, and it's just a different name that I have to remember. I do slip up sometimes, but they're very, very sweet about it. But I feel really grateful that they weren't bitchy, basically, about it, or they didn't make me take it down, and they held like anger towards those images, because I believe that they were really beautiful images, and they're a beautiful person. And I'm just very lucky to have a friend that agrees with me, because I would never take a terrible photo and show a friend a terrible photo. It's more of capturing what I feel is your authentic self. And then sometimes I feel I use a lot of my intuition, to be honest. So I would really dissect your image and then kind of put you in a video game kind of aesthetic, but it would be really chopped up and glitched out, not like in a corruption type of way of like error and stuff like that, but I would make it very interesting, to say the least.
Goblin Ghost Arcade, yes, it is a fortress of solitude, sort of. There's with a lot of other gamers in there and competitions. real life, the other part of it is I'm in a cube at my state office and making phone calls and trying to fix people's computer problems. That's the other natural thing. Also, I've run around a wrestling ring with a video camera on a monopole and watching people fight up close. I tried to transition away from that and kind of go all gaming because I've done the wrestling stuff for a lot of years, and at the age I'm at now, I need to game a lot more because I've done everything in the wrestling stuff that I can harvest from it, but I have not even come close to harvesting everything I can harvest from the gaming world.
Yeah, there's a lot of games. That's why.
Have you won any awards for some of your art?
Yeah, I win a lot of awards for my art. I'm also very slow when it comes to publishing it. I will be working on projects and no one knows that I'm working on these projects until I publish them because I kind of like it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like to do things uninterrupted because I find that every time I share an idea or I share a series that I have been working on for a while or something like that, or it's just I know how much work it's going to take. The more people ask me how it's going, the more I just decide I'm not going to do it anymore, and I'm just going to move on to a different project, just because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but it makes me angry because I'm just like, you can't rush these things. It's just, and then when someone checks up on me about it, it just makes me like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to just move on to a different idea that's similar, but or it takes the knowledge that I learned from one idea, but it's going to take it to another idea, and I'm not going to tell anyone about it because I find that every time you share a good idea, in my opinion, it's not only the pressure, but also a lot of people will try to say, "Oh, that's been done before," or that they're questioning your originality, but honestly, everything has been done, or
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people say everything has been done, but I feel that if you truly have an idea that you just came up with yourself and you don't know that it's already in existence, then and you just do it your own way, because I feel like it gets a little bit tainted when someone's like, oh, like this person, like this person. I feel like it's better for you to see that your original, your untainted, unbiased idea grow it and be something that's tangible, and then when you put it out to the masses, if other people have references or something that they want to show you, then that's perfectly fine. But I feel that it's your idea kind of gets tainted or poisoned when when you see others that have done something similar. You know what I mean? It kind of crushes you're like, oh damn, I thought this was the best idea ever, and now someone else did it. Now I don't want to do it anymore because they're gonna say I'm a copycat or something like that. You know what I mean?
But if you didn't see what they did,
Exactly.
and you
No,
have,
yeah.
I mean, people complain about, I don't know, the posters I made, promotional posters I made. It's like you could
Why?
take the same, well,
Ooh,
they think I suck at it.
why? I thought it was fine.
Well, anyway, the point was you could give, okay, I need a poster made of this particular event. You could give it to 20 different poster makers, and every single one of them will come up with a completely different design.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like there's no two that are going to be alike, or at least the chances, unless everybody goes pretty generic. But everybody has their own idea of how to create something. So do I.
Yeah.
If
I
it's
have that
not
art
what you
fear.
thought, yeah. If it's not what you were expecting, that's not my fault. It's just how I thought it should look, because I'm trying to come up with something and I'm not sure, and I kind of start getting on that road, and then I just kind of keep going until I finish it. If I have
I
to,
end up finishing
I hate
projects.
having
I
to
don't like
start over
unfinished
though.
projects.
But
It's more of I take what I've already have and then I continue to add to it, and then it just manifests or becomes something new. I'm really,
If
I
you
don't know why. I'm really good at doing that with a lot of the pieces that I have. Like, I just keep, like, what I think is genius, I didn't take part of that and then start another piece. And then it's always like the other piece that a lot, like something that I just like, I really just had a bunch of fun doing it, but it has no meaning behind it, to be honest. It was just a bunch, like, in all of it was just feeling. It was no thought behind it. And those I feel have been doing a lot better than the pieces that I have a lot of thought into it, which is very interesting, in my opinion.
have you ever thought of
Oh,
doing any gaming
miss
art?
you too.
Yep.
No, I haven't. I haven't really thought about doing that.
Because that seems to be the gaming conventions. I'm seeing a lot of art at the gaming conventions, and I don't know if you plan to go to Midwest Gaming Classic or I know C2E2 is going to have some of that. Obviously, some of the Midway legends are artists and create graphical drawings and portraits and stuff. I mean, I don't know, what do you think? You think you could do some? You think you might delve into that realm at some point in the future?
Maybe I
Because
haven't
you do a
done it
little
before.
gaming.
I do gaming, yes, when I can. I haven't been to GGA since I think the last Bloody Wars tournament, and then also, well, not the most recent Bloody Wars tournament, the last Bloody Wars tournament that I appeared in. In addition, I haven't even been to pinball, and I love pinball, but I just don't have time right now, and it sucks. Honestly, it really sucks because I miss everyone there, and but I have to be an adult. I have to be responsible and take care of my business, and then at the end, not only my business but my health.
Right. I read your bio. You said you were born as a fraternal triplet. So you're born.
Yeah.
So you're triplets. Not identical triplets, but so what was it like growing up, sharing the same birthday and being in school in the same classes with your siblings?
What's
Are
actually Go ahead.
they all sisters, brothers, or both?
So I have a brother and a sister. We were in the same grade, and but they made it a point to not have us in the same class from kindergarten. I think I shared a class with my either my I think it was my brother or my sister for kindergarten, but they separated and they had at least one of us outside of that class. But in first grade, that's when all three of us were in separate classes, or like we had our own homeroom and stuff like that. Or basically, we all had different teachers, and they made it. The schools really tried hard to not have us in together in the same classes because we're academically competitive, physically competitive as well. Because we were athletes. I was forced to be an athlete, even though I didn't want to be an athlete. I wanted to draw and do the art classes and play piano and I was more musically inclined. I took choir and stuff like that. But it's just easier for my parents, or it was easier for my parents, especially because they got divorced, to have us all in one place or relatively around in the same place. So I made that sacrifice. But I did enjoy playing sports. I just would have rather been tapping into my fine arts, you know, inclination because I had a natural ability to do more of like the singing and then the music and stuff like that. And it's easier to learn at a younger age, but that's not going to stop me from. I will not leave this earth or this planet without making my own violin and also learning how to play the violin because that's something I've always wanted to do. And I plan to do that. No one's going to stop me within this lifetime.
If I scored a few more points a year ago at the last Midwest Gaming Classic, I might have learned how to play guitar.
Wow. What's stopping you? There's YouTube. You can.
Well, I didn't win a guitar. That's the thing.
Oh.
It was the prize in a tournament, but I won cash, so it's all good. Where was I?
Oh yes,
Oh,
I'm a triplet, and we were not always in the same class together. And you had asked me what that's like. To be honest, that's all I know. So I don't know what it's like to be alone. Well, like I do, because I love my. I think growing up, I was always
yeah.
around two other people,
Hmm.
and it was quite frankly annoying because like I always get blamed for things that I didn't even do. I was just kind of like the scapegoat. But you accept it because like you're the older sibling. Because I'm the first one that popped out, so I'm the oldest.
So you're the oldest.
Yes.
Didn't know that.
Yes. I was born January 20th, 1998. I just turned 26 this past January.
Ah,
Yes.
they
And
said. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask. It said in your bio you considered yourself the odd one out.
Yeah, because I was the white one. Because I'm Mexican, Polish, and Russian. Because my mom's 100% Mexican, and then my dad is Polish and Russian, but he's a second generation American, and my mom, I think, my mom is first generation American. Oh, thank you, Strider. I don't know who Strider is.
It is Norbert Vale.
Norbert. Okay, sorry. I'm terrible. I'm like an old lady with when it comes to like.
Well, I had to learn these people's names too. Who's behind the screen names, and yes, the hype man has joined us too.
What's up, Josh?
There you go.
He knows my mom. Like she can attest that she's very Mexican.
You said you had to play sports. What did you play, and what did your siblings play?
I did gymnastics. We did soccer. We did floor hockey. We did roller hockey. We did soccer, basketball, volleyball. My sister
Not
and I
just
did
PE
gymnastics.
stuff, right?
No.
You didn't play anything outside of PE.
Yeah, we competed and got a lot of trophies for it. For floor hockey, roller hockey. It was like 3-on-3 and stuff like that because we're triplets. So like 3-on-3, I was always the goalie or something like that. And I was like, I preferred it that way because I used to be a lot bigger. I used to be like around almost 200 pounds. And like for a 10-year-old, I was like 100 and like probably 160 pounds, something like that. And then I lost a bunch of weight when I was in 8th grade. And then in high school, I lost a bunch of weight. Like I became kind of like normal body weight because of diet changes. And then no, honestly, it was just diet changes because I was always just doing something. I was always active. But yeah, so I did gymnastics and stuff like that too.
See,
And
I
softball.
never would have guessed, though. I never would have guessed.
Yeah, now I do strength training. I like to do a lot of strength training.
Let's see. Okay, also in your bio, and unfortunately, I'm going to have a little guest here in a second because he's just hovering outside my door and crying his eyes out.
Oh, is it your kitty? Go get your kitty.
Okay.
Yay!
Whiner. Come in, you whiner.
Kitty, kitty,
Get up here. Come on up. Come on.
I hear it.
Oh. Here we go. This troublemaker. This whiner.
Is that an orange
Cody.
tabby?
It's a ginger. I just call him a ginger.
He's so lovable. I say he's lovely, but he's so lovable. Oh my gosh.
He bites too.
He looks like he just wants affection. He's so cute.
Of course he wants affection. He wants nothing but attention at all times. All times. And he'll sleep in bed with me all night too. And my other cat.
His butt on your...
Of course. And now he just took a bite.
Oh, no nibbles. No nibbles.
Oh, yeah, he likes to nibble. And now he's just gonna sit on my lap because he wants a lap. So my next question for you, and Tracy from Europe has joined us.
Hi, Tracy.
Long time no see.
Look at the little
Cody's not even paying attention now. Over Vale, his is always the same way.
I love Zoe.
And King Cam Blackman has joined us as well. Tracy says it's only 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, that's a late night. I don't know if she sleeps. Yeah, she sleeps. I assume she sleeps at some point. I think she just got up because she misses you.
Aww.
Just so he can join us on the podcast here.
She's so cute.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. That's a late night.
Aww.
I'm up till midnight. Most nights, anyway. So my next question was, they say blondes have more fun. You indicated in your profile you weren't having as much fun as a blonde, and let's say you kind of went rogue as a hairstyle, resembling the Marvel Comics character. Do you relate to Rogue of the X-Men, or were you inspired by her?
Actually, I've always wanted to have black hair, like a Lily Munster, like black hair with the color white blocks, and that's actually what I told my hairdresser. I was like, this is my reference photo, but make it more me. And I'm very inspired by 1950s pinup women, because I used to do like my hair in like really cute like 1950s curls and stuff like that. But Dita Monteith was one of my other influences. She's a burlesque dancer, and I just love her fashion and artistry and her artistic skills. She's an interesting and wonderful individual that I admire. And then, but the original inspiration was Lily Munster. It wasn't even Rogue, but I see the Rogue, and like I am aware of Rogue, but she didn't cross my mind when I was making a decision to color my hair. I just always wanted my hair to have like to be white and black at one point. Now it is kind of white. Now it's a little brassy right now because I didn't wash this part. And my natural blonde hair is growing in. You can see my roots. And I went a little red because I wanted to try red. I wanted to see what I look like with red hair.
It looks good.
Thank you.
Looks good right now. So, besides the digital art, yeah, he's this boy right here.
He's like, pew, pew. His tail's so sassy.
He can't sell. Yeah, I want him to settle down if he's going to be in here.
Is he making biscuits?
You got into game. Oh, say again?
Is he making biscuits?
No, he's finally sat down, but he keeps looking straight up at me. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you talking?
Like,
who are you talking
to? Giving me attention, and that is it. That's all he wants.
I guess. So, how much gaming do you do besides the digital art? I know you're not having so much time to game lately. You said pinball. So, let's say how much gaming do you do currently, in addition to the artwork?
I have no time for any of that.
No time!
No, I've been cooking a lot because I love cooking. I love food. I'm working out a lot, and I take naps because if I don't take a nap, I'll get like really cranky. And I do more reading now because I just need time away from the screen, to be honest.
Yeah.
It can be stimulating sometimes, but I do enjoy when I did play video games. I played like console games. I'm more familiar with Xbox than I am with PS, PS5, or PS4, or any of the PS. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Anyway, I'm just more familiar with Microsoft, like the Xbox, and I used to play a lot of shooting games. But granted, I would play with my brother. I don't like play with him anymore because I don't live with him anymore. Yeah, mostly, and also it's because it's his console, so I had to ask permission to use it. But I don't really have a lot of electronics on. I don't even have a TV on sometimes. I just go about my business. Sometimes I do it in silence. I don't know.
Mhm.
I like being and feeling each moment sometimes because I feel that we are consumed by technology and it just gives you time away to like once you read an article or something like that, it gives you time to have it marinate and like and just really settle in
Right.
so you can think of ideas and just like bounce them like whether it be internally or just like talk about ideas out loud. As long
Mhm.
as you don't answer yourself, you're not crazy. So like it's like
Yes.
but you know what I mean? It's I think it's that's what I like to do. So it makes me happy. So that's
I did I did finally ditch cable, which I wasn't watching much of it as it was, even during the pandemic. In fact, when the pandemic started and all this everything shut down, I was like on the computer doing writing and video editing because I was not happy being cooped up in the house because the government told me to stay home. I was like, this ain't right.
yeah.
And
I went out in nature to be honest. I didn't listen. But also no one else was outside, so I thought it was fine. And I also
and
took
that
masks with me.
and that and that was the best place to be is outside in the fresh air, out in the sunlight, because the sun was a natural destroyer of viruses because of that ultraviolet radiation killed whatever was in the air.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the healthiest thing. Um, we'll get to bloody wars in a moment.
Who's
Actually,
Cody
that's next.
Rhodes?
Cody Rhodes is the. If you're not a wrestling fan, how much of a
Oh, I feel like
are
we
you a
know that
wrestling
one.
fan at all? I didn't
I
ask
know,
that
yeah.
one.
I actually grew up watching WWE and I feel ashamed that I just asked that question because I know the answer to it now. I just I, when it's the context and when someone says something or like says someone's name because I'm my head was nowhere not even in that realm when he said that and then said hashtag that Cody.
Yeah, my cat's
I
name
feel
is
so
Cody.
dumb.
Also,
I know what it is, but
let's
sorry.
put it this way. At a certain point, I just completely lost patience of watching wrestling on television. I had to be at a live show. I basically can only tolerate being at a live show in person, in the crowd. That's how I watch wrestling. I don't have the patience to watch it on TV. In fact, ditching cable,
Yeah.
obviously. I haven't had the TV on much.
Yeah.
I'll watch,
I honestly never really watched wrestling. Well, like I did like the OGs, but like I was more into the games that were built around the wrestlers than I was the actual like actually watching it. Because I don't know, watching cringy because sometimes it's cringy.
yeah.
I never played. It watching something like that makes me feel uncomfortable, so I can't watch it. But I like when they like because it's really cool when they do some of these skits and stuff like that. And like they can get really creative, and that's when I like to watch it. Like, but it's usually small clips of it, and it's
Yeah.
not the whole thing because then it loses my attention sometimes.
Yes. So what? So you haven't had much time to game lately, but I might as well ask. What are your favorite games when you actually did have time to play?
I like puzzle games, to be honest. I love shooting games. I or like kind of military games and stuff like that. Or I like any game that involves like slaughtering someone. um, like
Slaughtering
bloody,
someone.
yeah, like bloody and gory is really fun for me. I don't like playing sports games like soccer and like I'll just go kick a ball outside. To be honest, I don't. It just I'm not good at them, and I just they don't do something for me. I like more of like it has a story, and then you like games like Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls, but that's a like yeah, that's a PC game. Uh, but I like puzzle games like Little Nightmares. I love the artwork on it in it, like the game artwork, and then I like really enjoy the story, and I like the more horror games as well. I just like I like the suspense. it's especially when and the creativity that goes with making and creating the game, the music that goes in it, and then just everything that goes, because they have like a little like app, like a mobile game for that as well. And I thought that was so cute, but I don't necessarily like the artwork because it's like 2D artwork in the mobile game. It's all right, but I prefer the actually playing the game on the console. Because like then now they added, I think it was like Little Nightmares. Was it Little Nightmares 2 or 3? And they made it like a co-op, because usually it was just like a single player game, but they made it co-op, and I was just like, oh my god, like I like games like that, and I like watching people play games like that because sometimes the commentary is really funny, or it's just it's thrilling to me. I like it a lot.
You mentioned pinball. What are your favorite pinball tables?
That's a hard question. I haven't played enough, but I know the ones that are my favorite to play at GGA are Godzilla, Twilight Zone for sure. I love playing the Freddy Krueger pinball machine too. I was figuring out how to play the Dracula one.
Mm-hmm.
And which other ones do I like? I like so many of them. It's like asking who your favorite child is, because I love the Addams Family one too. And then why can't I think of the name of the other one that I really like? I can see it in my head, but I love that one. It's
the Monsters, like
no,
Zeppelin.
The Monster is good too. Led Zeppelin's great, but like it's one of the older ones. Why do you think it's not called Creep Show? It's called.
Well, there's 4 different Elviras.
It's not the Elvira one. It's like it laughs at you. And
there's one.
It's the skeleton. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of the pinball machine right now.
Bone Busters.
No, it's not called Creep Show. No, it's like a TV show.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yes, Tales of the Crypt. Thank you. I love
Jose, thank you for the assist.
I got there. I said Crypt, but I was just like, it's something Crypt.
Monster Energy next. Oh, that was in response to falling asleep or something. I haven't been clicking these messages in order, but
I just got to plug my iPad in. It's at 10% right now. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll hide the screen for a moment. This is a good time to take a look. Now we're going to talk about Bloody Wars in a second. So let's take a look at one of her matches. This is one of her victories at Bloody Wars. Let's see. Let's start off with this one. Actually, let's go to this one first.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Our very own match. Brandon versus Sam.
Oh, great.
Once again.
Well, I clearly have an advantage because Sam is over there playing Mortal Kombat 1 right now, so I guess this is going to last long. But let me get on up there.
Our very own match. Uh-oh.
And here
Unless if someone wants to do special guest commentary, I guess I'll do all the talking.
Versus Samantha. This is from WrestleMania.
Uh-oh.
Sam rejoins us. We're showing off the entire matchup here. Actually, they have not started yet. Sam is getting settled in, so we'll have her join in on the commentary of this particular matchup here. I guess they got to reset, and now I'm going to have to skip ahead. Try to get this going.
Now can we hear you? Oh, now we can.
There we go.
Oh, he said that.
Good to see you, Norbert.
All right. Now,
Hi.
sorry, you were muted.
commentary. Once
While you
again.
were
I didn't
getting
know at
settled
all
back
that
in.
Brandon
Wars
said that
group
he had an
between Brandon
advantage
and
because I was
Sam.
playing Mortal
That's
Kombat.
gonna be awesome to see. We're
I
gonna be moving on
that
That
didn't
was
make
pretty
any
funny.
sense either.
I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah.
you
I was
can,
like, maybe I was warming up. I don't know.
That's gonna, yeah, and the fact that I'll be facing
So you chose
Thatcher,
Undertaker.
it's gonna be the
Yeah, I love
Um,
Undertaker.
Power Stone Tournament Grand Finals.
that's gonna be awesome to see.
There has been so much chatter as to
you've been a top
whether,
contender for a
because
long time, which is
Sting
why it
just
makes
had
sense
his,
to be
I guess he had his
considered
final
for
match
the brand, for sure.
Definitely.
at All Elite Wrestling. There's been so much chatter about Undertaker versus Sting.
Oh, first and foremost,
They've done it at an arena show, but they've never had a match on television against each other.
picked up the first round.
Would you have liked to have seen that?
Okay,
I'd like to see anything,
so
honestly.
Sam is
Sam is
Undertaker?
Undertaker and Brandon is
Brandon's
Yokozuna.
Yokozuna. Okay. I see Sam
Sting
versus
was,
Yokozuna.
yes, he was,
So far, we're seeing a lot of Undertaker, people choosing the Undertaker.
I don't know, he kind of paid homage to the Crow.
So I'm
At a certain
why I
point
thought
in
it'd be
it,
interesting.
the most used character throughout this tournament.
I just wish it did happen, but it just didn't. I know some they couldn't make it happen. I don't know. So you are so far.
Back and forth.
Yeah, you got the first fall on this one, and now Brandon ties it up.
Round number 2. He just
I'm so sorry.
Round 3 right here, folks.
King Cam, what is your thoughts of King Cam? Because as a fighting game player, because he's gotten a victory over me too.
It's fun because like he's just so competitive. Whoops, sorry, my lighting's going on. He's just really competitive. That's just how he is. So I don't think it doesn't matter if it's his strength or not. He's just competitive.
But Brandon's trying to come back. Oh,
And this apparently,
and it's good. It's good to be competitive. That's how you succeed in life.
Saying stuff from Sam.
But I just think I'm not competing with anyone other than myself. That's just my own mantra.
and you pick up the victory here. And this is you've won the first match here, and Brandon is on the ropes. I think you think he was surprised that you took the lead on him at this point.
Yeah, I don't think he thought at all that I was gonna put up a fight or a good fight or a good show. To be honest.
He switched to Razor Ramon, thinking he had a better chance with him. Obviously, I played Shawn Michaels throughout the whole thing, and yes, King Cam beat me. In fact, I have a question later about me losing.
Oh my goodness.
See, all the kicks he threw, and you blocked pretty much all of them.
That's all I gotta say.
Yep. Oh, Sam once again.
Pardon?
I'd be so disappointed.
You blocked all those kicks that he was throwing at you, and just pretty much took him down. And he's trying to come back here because he's on the brink of losing. And see, you're just wiping the mat with him right now. And there we go. And there you have it. You won it 2 straight.
Sam, moving on. Norbert, thank you so much for.
Won it 2 straight there, and that was, I believe that was your second victory at Bloody Wars. We have one other video to show off of your other victory at Bloody Wars. But what drew you to host the Bloody Wars, be a hostess at the Bloody Wars tournament? What attracted you, or how did you hook up with that?
I was just friends with Josh, and Josh just asked me one time. Like he just literally asked me, and I was like, okay. I thought it was volunteering honestly for one time, but obviously it grew into something more than that. I just did it kind of as a favor, and then I also had a good time doing it. So yeah, I just didn't know it was gonna be. Well, I just didn't know when it was gonna happen, honestly, because like there was a poor communication when he would just talk to me. Like he would take us out afterwards to get dinner and stuff like that. And that's when we talk about the tournament. We basically plan stuff out, but then there's no follow up. So it was kind of like I'm just living my life, not knowing anything until he decides to reach out, and like have a team meeting or something like that. But I'm not on Twitch a lot. I'm not, like I said, I'm trying to not be on social media a lot just because for my own mental health, and then because I have a lot of other stuff going on. But I would have set aside a lot, like some time if there were negotiable dates when things were happening. Because I know like the last Bloody Wars tournament, it wasn't that we didn't want to be in the tournament, or not that I also didn't even know what the game was going to be until like until he said it was going to be something with football. And I was like, well, I don't want to do it because like I know nothing about, I know about football, but I don't know nearly enough to be entertaining or to even try to ask questions about the game. Even if I were to do research, it just didn't excite me at all, to be honest.
It was a departure, and it didn't actually end up being for the Bloody Wars title. It was its own separate event, I believe.
Oh, that's good.
Evel Blitz.
Yeah, I just wouldn't have chosen that game. I would have chosen like a different. I wish there was more discussion on a different game that was more fun, to be honest. But I don't watch football. I'm not not a sports fan like that. I don't. That's just not what I like to do with my time.
You say you're 26. It took me about, I believe I was about that age or later that I got into football. So you may not be into football now. You might get into it later. Something might happen and you might get interested, but we'll see. You got a lot of years ahead of you.
Honestly, would rather be traveling somewhere like abroad in Europe or something like that. Or there's a lot of other things I would rather work on, it's not like a bad thing. I really like classic cars, and I would rather be working on a classic car than.
If you like classic cars, we have the Route 66 festival in September where I live. And classic cars over a large number of streets and blocks all over downtown Springfield. So that might be something you'd want to come down and check out. That'd be in the fall of this year. They've had it for the last several years. And thankfully, I was able to walk around and walk through the whole thing on a Saturday. So, oh gosh. Striver IU wants you, I don't know if you saw this, but Norbert Vale versus Jim Patzer, the final minute. Did you happen to see that clip?
I didn't watch it.
Oh.
I didn't watch any of it. Honestly, I don't watch any of the Bloody Wars stuff. I like to experience it in person, because I did experience it in person. I watched everyone play for the most part, and I like enjoying it in the moment. I don't go rewatch it just because I'm like, I lived through it. And I don't know, I just think it's more exciting when I have those memories instead of like rewatching the film and watching it like that again, because it's not the same. You don't get the same energy, in my opinion.
I've been watching back the stuff I create, and it's just because it's a work of art. Well, I guess in my head it's my creation and it's my work of art. So I kind of feel like I want to watch it again. I want to look at it and perfect it and make it better the next time I create something.
Yes.
So, well, Norbert Vale actually got was on the winning end of a incredible bad beat where there was like a fumble in the end zone, and it's like nobody saw it coming, and he didn't saw it coming, and it was like the shock. I don't know. It was crazy. how it ended. Um, here's your next question. As we drew you in, they put you in the role of an interviewer. You're being interviewed. I think this is the first time you've been interviewed on any forum. Is that correct? Or have you done interviews? Have you been interviewed by anybody before?
Yeah, I've been interviewed by curators and stuff like that, and students. I haven't taught a class, but I've been interviewed by, because I was a guest in a class, I was a guest speaker or something like that. So I guess if you count that as being interviewed, yeah, and I've spoken for my college and stuff like that. I've spoken in front of a lot of people actually about art in general and just myself or whatever they needed me to speak on. Because I just enjoy people, honestly. I like to understand what others do. I love the interesting weirdos because I'm a weirdo, and the nerds and academics, or just anyone really, because everyone has some sort of spark or something that's very interesting and special about them, and that makes them them. I like to find the uniqueness in something that's real inside each individual. If I can't find that, then I just don't talk to them really.
So who is your favorite person to interview at Bloody Wars?
I really enjoyed our talks together. That's a hard question because I like to interview the people that I've never met before as well. Even though I know you and I have had very interesting conversations and bring a lot of energy to the live stream, but I also feel that when I don't know somebody, that's when it's a lot of interesting conversations come out. So it's just kind of this unpredictability that I like because I'm learning about somebody for the first time. So
Yeah.
I like new people, but I do love everyone that I've interviewed. I do have my favorites. You're obviously one of my favorites, along with Aiden and Damien, and Norbert, obviously. I liked talking to Chris Plackey too. Honestly, I like talking to everyone. I feel bad naming them because it's kind of, I don't know.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah, everyone has their special charm, and I love it.
And I did play off the wrestling stuff, doing the promos and with the belts, and had to act a little flamboyant because that also helped my mood and mental state because of all the drama I had to endure last year, which I don't know how much it subsided. Hopefully.
What was the drama about?
It's wrestling drama. It's a long story, and it's a lot of immature children who think they want to portray themselves as I guess tough people, but are extremely mentally weak. But anybody who wants to be involved in the wrestling business or be in the ring, beating other people up, if you're mentally weak when you're trying to pass yourself off as this big unstoppable monster, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot because the crowd will figure out you're just a crybaby and they'll turn against you. And, you've got to have a very thick skin because the entire world is making comments about you and your in-ring ability and your personality and a number of different things. And if you don't have a thick skin, you won't last very long because
or it's
you'll
a sense of humor.
Right. And
Don't take everything
yeah,
too
if you don't have a
seriously.
sense of humor, that's another thing. If you just get offended at every little thing, then you're just like, that's no way to live.
Exactly.
You're just going to live in total misery your entire life. I don't want to live like that. I want to be happy.
Exactly.
I don't want to be miserable. And there's, unfortunately, people, as I mentioned earlier, there's people who are so miserable, they think the only way they're going to make their lives better is make everybody else around them just as miserable as they are.
Exactly.
Somehow to make themselves feel better. But that's counterproductive. And I was serious when I said, being interviewed by you, even if I don't win Blade Wars, and obviously that one tournament where I lost 2 straight and did not expect that.
No one did.
No one did, yes. No one expected Brandon Travis to upset the champion either, and knock him.
One of the cool things about the Bloody Wars tournament is that we anticipated a winner, but we were completely thrown off a lot of the times, which was so much fun. I love that.
Yeah, the Plecky versus Vale, which didn't happen, but it could happen. It could happen on St. Patrick's Day. They're going to face off Mortal Kombat 1 for the. I assume you were aware that was the game for the next Bloody Wars.
Yeah, I just found that out. I was not gonna lie, I was pretty upset about it because if I would have known that was the game, I probably would have made myself available to play that game. But yeah, I think I actually am off that day. I don't know. I just got to see, but it's because that's one of the reasons why I decided to like step away was because I feel like I wasn't really contributing anything other than the interviews, and that was I wasn't really doing much work with that other than because I didn't prep at all to do interviews other than like researching the game or whatever and like asking key point questions and stuff like that. But when I didn't do any research, I didn't do any research regarding people participating in the game other than what had happened last time. And then because I was just like, the point of interviewing is to get to know these questions. If I already know what the answer would be to my question, then I'm fishing. But anyway, it's more of like there wasn't clear communication, and it wasn't enough involvement. Or my boss, Josh, there was no initiative to communicate to me. He actually had Brandon do it. And Brandon's the second in command, and he just relied on him too much about it. But I'm like, you were friends with me prior to this tournament and had no problem with communicating to me prior to the tournament. So if I don't know there's an issue, I can't fix it. You know what I mean? I literally had no idea that there was an issue, and then I just felt that the tone of the discussion we were going to have regarding the next Bloody Wars, which was this one right now, before anything was even discussed, because he was trying to set up a date for all of us to have a meeting, I just thought I said, like, I think it's best that I step down or step away because it's his tournament, and I just feel like I kind of just show up whenever he like calls, basically, and I just can't be doing that anymore because I do have a lot of other things that I have to worry about. Unfortunately, it's not that I don't want to; it's literally just because it's kind of like a guessing game.
Yeah.
I just wish there was more flexibility with scheduling and stuff like that. Stuff that's more beneficial for everyone.
I clashed with Josh too about Bloody Wars.
I think it was we didn't have an argument or anything like that. It was more of
like,
I understood. Like, it's his baby, and like I respect Josh. He's a great guy, but this is the truth of the matter. And I chose to leave.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the best. He's busting his ass for this tournament, and he's been doing a lot to make sure that this tournament's a good recurring thing. But that's the only thing, really the only complaint that I had. Because it was very nice of him to take us out to dinner afterwards to compensate us for the time, but I wasn't like, there's no talking me being fired or anything like that. Because if I was fired, I'd be applying for unemployment.
Yeah.
If it was a job. It wasn't a job. I volunteered, and I stepped away because I was like, I can't volunteer my time anymore.
Yeah.
I just want to get that straight.
Yeah, that was on my question for a little bit later, but I think you just answered it. Why did you leave Bloody Wars? And so I don't think I have to ask it unless there's additional things, but I do want to say that, yes, I had my own disagreements with things about Bloody Wars, and eventually, let's
I just
say...
wish he would have let me help him more, is the
Yeah.
thing. Because I have a degree in graphic design, and I could help him a lot with all of that stuff, but he just... I understand. He wants it the way he wants it. It's his vision. I get it. But I can't... It's like I basically just show up. And there's times that I showed up late, too, or like close to the time where we're supposed to start. And I really expected to get my ass reamed out, basically. Didn't, though. And I don't know. I tested the waters a lot with that, just because I was just like, I don't understand why he said everything's okay and blah, blah, blah. But like...
Well, when I had a dispute with Josh, I cut a promo against him and challenged him to a best-of-7 series. And I won the first one, and he beat me with the same score on the second one, and there will be one to come at a later date. I'm not ready to have the rubber match with Josh yet. I think I'm going to do it. And Cody is attacking me right now. Gosh. He's taking nips, and now he just tried to climb and eat the headset. He's
bad
honoring.
Kitty.
Yeah, he's a bad kitty, all right. Naughty. Well, I should have brought my can of air in here because he will run away when I shoot that in the air. What, Cody? Yeah. Gets a half meow and then lunges. Anyway. Yeah, and I beat him at NFL Blitz, too, by a single point, twice in a row. And took the hardcore title from him multiple times. So, I guess I'm going to be at the next Blade Wars tournament. Yeah, I hate those one-day trips because it is really rough driving 200 miles north and then 200 miles back the same day.
Yeah, that's what I think. I wish that there was more flexibility, especially because I know people like you commute, and it's not cheap to commute.
No, and plus there's I have something going on Saturday of that weekend, but I don't want to miss. I guess I want. I don't like my chances of winning Mortal Kombat 1. I've picked a character to play as, and we've just got on this podcast that brought up the chatter that was surrounding Mortal Kombat 1. There's been like new videos every freaking week about this, that, or the other. I know the latest chatter is about Peacemaker, which is portrayed by John Cena. Oh, another WWE wrestler. Yeah, the wrestler's getting involved in Mortal Kombat. What a shocker. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Besides the artwork, I mean, you did the interviews at Blade Wars. Are you seeking to be more of a media personality in front of the camera, or was this just kind of something? That cat just took a bite out of my arm. He has to go. Yeah, he has blindsided me and viciously bitten me multiple times. This is how ornery he is. This goofball down here. Yeah. Yeah, he acts all wrong. Yeah, he acts all innocent, and then gosh, does something. Yeah, he'll do things unprovoked. It's just the nature of a ginger.
I think he just wants attention.
Well, I gave him attention, but he still bites
He's a
me.
needy baby. He wants all of our attention.
Yeah, I guess. He can hop in bed and cuddle up with me tonight if he wants and he wants it so bad. What was I gonna say? Oh, my question was, were you looking to do
Media.
a lot more media stuff in front of a camera? Like
Currently, right now, no. I wasn't really looking to do that, but if there were opportunities, I wouldn't be opposed to it because I would be more prepared for it, honestly. I don't mind doing it. I think it's really fun.
yes. And we were talking about why you left Blade Wars. King Cam has also said that he doesn't want to. He wants to move up, doing the bigger esports stuff. He may not do Bloody Wars forever. He's not going to do Bloody Wars forever.
Mm-hmm.
How long he does it, don't know. He doesn't want to do commentary the entire way through. He wants to kind of switch off with other hosts. That included you.
Yeah.
And
yes. Well, because Josh likes to control everything, which I get because that's his baby. Like I said before, it's his baby. But it's about also the community, and that's what every time we ever had a meeting, which I think other than having the meetings we would have dinner afterwards after the shows or after the live stream and after the tournaments, we only had one actual meeting I think it was on Twitch or something like that. And
on Twitch?
I think it was on Twitch, or I don't know what it was on. It doesn't matter.
It wouldn't be on Twitch. It would be on
whatever. It was on a platform. I don't remember.
Zoom. Maybe Zoom.
No, it wasn't Zoom. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We had a meeting,
right,
and we were all there. We were video, we're on the video. We were there. The thing is with that, we only had one of those, and I wish we would have had more of those because if I'm not going to, I realize that when I'm not going to the pinball when I'm not going to pinball to see him on Wednesdays and stuff like that, because
right,
I just don't have the time to do that anymore. That's what I
right,
used to do, and I would physically just check in and talk to him, but I would have to be the one to engage. And if he's the one that's running the whole tournament and stuff like that, I feel like he should have reached out and kept the communication going because I can't be the one that's doing it all the time because I don't know what he wants from me.
right.
Because I'm just here to help him and to assist him. If you don't give me a task to do ahead of time, then I don't know what to do other than research.
Yeah, you need structure.
I can only do what I can. Yeah. So I'm just gonna assume that there's no assignment, and I'm just gonna show up that day and just do what I do. I forgot. What was the question you had? Oh yeah, it was. We had talked about, and we had suggested that we have some of the players because Damon does really good commentary. You do funny commentary too. There's a lot of the players' voices that I would like to hear doing commentary when Brandon needs a break or someone else needs a break and stuff like that,
right,
or when there's technical difficulties. I think it's very, very much a community, and it's wonderful to see that, in my opinion, and it shouldn't just be always controlled by the ringleader, I should say. You know what I mean? Because Josh doesn't ever play in the Bloody Wars tournament, which I think he would enjoy doing that. It would be fun to see him do it. I understand if he doesn't want to.
That's why I challenged him to a best of 7. I wanted to find out how good of a fighting game player he was because, I played everybody else.
I don't think he's
just
not
would him.
Allow that, though, to be honest. I said it to his
face. You know what?
Because he gets upset when I beat him in some games, so.
You know what? If I go to him enough and basically campaign, challenge, it's basically, yes, I mean, the promos I cut, the long-winded promos where I'm walking back and forth inside my Crimeycade. This room right here is my other game room with all the consoles and stuff. But Yeah, the call out videos and stuff. They seem to provide a little bit of incentive and motivation. I mean, you might want to do one of those if Josh is not behaving himself. No?
No, I don't need to do that.
I don't know.
I'll just show up, and if he's there, he's there, and like, cause I have no beef with Josh. So we're good friends, and like,
Mm-hmm.
we never really needed to do that. We never really didn't do any of that stuff. It just happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
Have a good night, Norbert. I'm not, because I know Norbert's leaving. I actually have to skedaddle soon. I have to make dinner.
Okay.
I didn't eat
Well,
yet.
let me wrap this up a little bit. A few more questions I have. Somehow I managed to play all the women that participate in Blade Wars. I don't know how that happened. How do we get more women to participate in Blade Wars?
I just have it be, I guess, just be friendly, and welcoming. It's everyone's individual choice, but I
Right.
guess
Yeah.
environment. I don't know. Other than that,
There's not
I
enough
liked
women
it
in
because
gaming, I think. I
there's a
mean,
lot of women in gaming, but I don't know if they feel welcome.
I would, I would like to see more women participating in the score chases. I know, God, grief. This is flashing back to years ago, and it's an unfortunate situation. I happened to find out after the fact. There was a lady that was chasing the Splatterhouse world record, and some individual who is no longer walking this earth, and thank goodness, because this guy was crazy. He was having people harass this woman who was chasing the Splatterhouse world record because this gentleman apparently had a problem with women in gaming. I guess this guy was just not very didn't like women very much. I'd have to send you the article, but I don't know if I want to cover it in great detail here, especially since we're getting close to the end of this podcast and you need to eat dinner.
Yeah, I'm very hungry. I'm sorry.
That might be a topic I cover in a later podcast because I know another streamer, Tipster, if you're familiar with him, covered it, covered the story a few weeks ago, or just did a flashback because he was talking about other things, and then just somehow when he was talking about Billy Mitchell stolen world records that were not legit with Todd Rogers, and then somehow it swerved over to this other gamer that did a murder it was a murder suicide, unfortunately. I used to work for law enforcement, and yes, I kind of follow crime drama too at times. So, but that's a topic for another show. Do you think you'll be back at Blade Wars sometime in the future? I mean, I know they just announced a new personality. I don't know this person, or I don't think I've met her. They announced Tiffany Scott will be joining the Blade Wars team, the next Blade Wars event. You think you'll
I don't know who that
ever?
is.
I don't know who it is either. I saw the picture and I didn't recognize him.
Well, she's probably gonna do a fantastic job. I hope she does.
All right.
I don't think Josh would just pick her just to pick her.
Okay. Do you ever think you'll be back at Blade Wars sometime?
Yeah, if it lines up with my schedule, yeah, but
will I be playing against you ever again?
I hope so. We have fun.
All right. Future goals. What are your future goals? What do you look to do? Where do you want to be in about 5 years? I mean, life's a journey.
Yeah. I want
Where
to
do you think you'll be?
have a home in Europe. somewhere because I have a partner that they live abroad, so well, like they live here, and then they also have property abroad. So I hope to continue to be with that partner, and then have opportunities abroad to afford financially myself to afford my own land out there, and like just enjoy life, really enjoy life, and then to be able to make it as an artist as well. Have a lot more shows within these next couple of years, just in general. But then 5 years from now, I hope to like be enjoying life in some vineyard in either Italy or like someplace in either Croatia or maybe in Prague and stuff like that.
By the way, I hope, I hope World War III doesn't break out because that's been all that activity in Eastern Europe, and it is worrisome. If you were chosen as the Gamer of the Year, and I know you don't have time to game lately, what game would you put on the arcade floor if you really had time to dedicate to game at the Galvin Ghost?
Honestly, I just want to see Doc's game, Dark Presence.
All right, that's a good answer. Let's see. Who should I interview next?
I think you should ask Brandon. Maybe you should interview Josh.
King Cam and Josh were King Cam was the third interview. Josh was the first.
Oh.
The second one. Josh was
maybe Chris. Maybe Chris. He's
Chris
the
Blackie.
photographer.
Chris Veach.
Yeah.
Chris with King Cam. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or you can interview Tiffany.
All right.
Have another woman.
Have another what? Well, I'll see if I can get maybe Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy. Yeah, why did I think of that? You should have interviewed Tracy. I'll watch that one. I got King Cam too.
I'll have to figure out I'll have to figure out because she's like so many hours ahead. The future guest on this podcast, it's gonna be this gentleman. He's This gentleman is in the state of Washington, and so it's gonna be 6 o'clock for him. So yeah, the start time's gonna be 8 o'clock because he starts 6 o'clock. It'll be 6 o'clock Pacific time. But this gentleman is the world record holder on the Nintendo competition cartridges, including mine, which was the Nintendo Campus Challenge in 1991, which I won 32 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how old I am. But you know what? Samantha, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I hope to see you around the arcade soon and a lot more often. All right. Take care of yourself. Don't let the drama get you down. I know I had to deal with so much drama myself, and I've given pep talks to people. I've needed some too, for that matter. So, I know. I'll do the heart too. Although we just had Valentine's Day, but now we're going to have to pull out the 4-leaf clovers because it's going to be St. Patrick's Day.
That might be a gang sign.
In a week. No, it's not gang sign. Agree.
No, I was about to put it in my hands, and I was like, that's probably a gang sign. Don't do that.
Daylight savings time is this weekend, too. The time change, and good grief. I'm going to Galpin Ghost this weekend. I'm going to lose an hour of sleep. I'm probably going to be a zombie next Monday when I go back to work. So we'll see what happens. But Sam, I want to wish you adieu and take care of yourself. And
you too.
I'll see you again sometime in the future.
Yes, I hope so.
Website again, one more time. skohnart.com. Anything you want to plug before you get out of here? Anything upcoming that you want to promote before we let you go?
right now, no. I'm still working on a lot of stuff. That's why I also can't go to the arcade, is because I'm working on a lot more projects.
Preparing for the next art show, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what I kind of just withdraw, and then I just work a lot. It's
All
worth
right.
it in the end, honestly.
All right. All right, Sam. Have a good night, and I'll see you around the arcade soon.
We'll see ya.
All right. So, Tiffany Scott has been announced as the new hostess at Bloody Wars. I do want to do a scoring update. So Centipede is the new game of the month, and for the month of March, Galloping Ghost did win the scoring competition on Punisher, and here's how it stands now. Technically, Galloping Ghost is in the lead because it's fully qualified. 3 scores have to be submitted to qualify. But right now, one of the new arcades in California has put up the top 2 scores in the competition on Centipede. I will be submitting the score as well on that. And good grief, 400,000. I hope Duck Dane can return to put up a score on Centipede, because we're going to need him. If he's happened to see this podcast at a later time, get over to Galloping Ghost and put a score in, please. We need a lot more points to catch up to Revolt. And Underground Retrocrade's put in some pretty decent numbers too. So I'm going to be putting in my score. Hopefully I can get I got a long way to go to get to 100,000, and I'm not that good with the trackball, but I'll see what happens. Also, scoring at GGA, there was no high scores last week, so I wanted to give a mention to this. Andrea Wasco defeated my JJ Squawker score with a nearly 2.3 million mark. Yes, I'm going to Galloping Ghost Arcade this weekend and try to take that back, because that's one of the cornerstones of my power rankings. And right now I'm sitting in 13th place. Andrew, of course, is the Ghost Rider. But also I want to mention that this gentleman, John Liming, all the way from the state of Texas, did that marathon run. He was there the last time I was up there at Galloping Ghost Arcade. They verified his score. He scored over 21 million points on Galaga to set a high. I don't know if it's a new record or where it stands, but excellent score from John Liming, who is going to be contending for the Gamer of the Year. If he had scored, if he had made one putt in Skin's game, he might be holding the T20 title and the Gamer of the Year title. But you know what? There's been so much chatter about the Gamer of the Year title. Will there be a new champion this year? Will it be mothballed? We'll have to see. But as I mentioned last week, it might be a redux of me versus Andrew. But if someone new wins the title, so be it. Okay. That will do it for this edition of the Crimeycade. Next week, it will be Paul Tessie joining us on the broadcast. Hope to see you then. Till next time, hope to see you around the arcade soon, and have a good night, everybody.